Stuart, I have a question, Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob.
In my day, as I bump into friends or strangers, many people are having a hard time. How can I best be in relationship with and be of support to strangers and friends?
Well, the first answer to that question is have no expectations about how the way other people function. I mean, look, there isn't a person alive who isn't suffering from one thing or another. Most people have absolutely no training in what to do with that suffering, how to transform it into a chakra system that works. So you have to go into these relationships, without any judgment, without any preconceptions, and to be able to deal with people in a way where you are strong enough to turn around all of their stuff in yourself. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't get you crazy. It doesn't get you emotionally involved. Your system is strong enough to transform it. And it begins with the lack of expectation. I mean, look, I have never met anybody who doesn't suffer in one way or another. Anybody in my life. And what I'm saying is, it's not putting people down. It's just the very nature of what it is to live. This computer of mine keeps doing that stuff. It's just the nature of living here. We live in a planet where energy manifests as conflict. It's mostly energy that people project images from their mind. It's the way they live their lives. And it's all polarity. It's all conflict. It's all, tension. And to think that it should be any other way is presupposing that the world, should be different. The world could be different if people worked on themselves. How many people work on themselves? Not very many, Bob, so you have to continue doing your inner work, getting strong enough to be able to deal with these people with open heart, with love, with compassion, with, all of those words that have been coming down since the beginning of time, that almost become trite in our vocabulary. And every single one of them has a deep meaning about the way we have to interact with human beings. And stop living with some kind of utopian expectation about the world being paradise. The world could become paradise if everybody living on this planet just learned to open their heart and keep their heart open. The whole energy of this planet would change. There would be no more climate problems. There would be no more wars. It would all come to an end. But try to get 8 billion people to open their hearts. It's much easier to get 8 billion people to seek revenge. It's easy. It's right on the surface. Anger. So I think the only way I've learned to deal with this is not have any expectations about what anybody is going to bring me. I don't know. And I never know. I mean, look, I don't have some kind of Kundalini FBI going around and checking on everyone in the world lives, I'm basically not. I mean, I found out something that was almost staggering yesterday of how people who were trained by Rudy no longer do Rudy's work. They do some form of Hindu, whatever it is. I mean, it's amazing to me. The training one gets in this meditation practice, there's almost nothing in the world like it. And I'm not saying it's the only thing that people should do. It's not. Otherwise, there would be 8 billion people sitting on this Zoom class. But I am saying that one shouldn't live with expectations. I mean, when I was a kid, I was 25 years old. I was living in Paris. And I used to go to this bookstore. They're called Shakespeare and Company. It was an English bookstore. They sold books in English there. And it was right down the street from where I used to live. I lived 1 block away from it in Paris. And I would go in there and I got to know the guy who ran it. And he invited me to give, a poetry reading there, which I did. And anyway, in browsing the book, I found a book by Rabindranath Tagore, the poems. And there was a line in it that I never forgot. It was Madness Falling from the Sky. In fact, one of my books I called Madness Falling from the Sky. And it was a line that was so powerful because it meant that one had to live in the world amidst all of this madness being created by God. I wouldn't even say God's energy. I discovered, it's created on the earth that we all have to deal with every day. And I used to say, how do you deal with this? Until I met Rudy, I had no idea how to deal with all of this stuff. It made me angry. It made me upset. It made me, gypsy. I was living my life hitchhiking around the world. And until I met Rudy, I discovered there is a way to deal with all of the problems that other people have, not change them. You can't change anybody until they truly want to change themselves. But how to get strong enough inside that, you don't get sucked into it. You don't get swept away in other people's insanity, and other people's bullshit, And until I met Rudy, I had no idea how to do that. And he trained me in how to build a system inside that. After 20 years of doing it, I became capable of doing that kind of thing, not getting swept away in other people's insanity. And frankly, I have never met anyone who isn't, I've never met a normal person in my life, I always said they should take that word out of the dictionary because there's no way of defining it. There are no normal people. There are people with problems, they live on the edge, they have difficulties in life, emotionally upset, psychologically this, and that's, so what do? They invent pills to give people to try to get them on an even keel. And, the pills just destroy people's lives when people could learn to do it by just learning how to breathe properly, use the mind properly, develop the chakra system. And that is our job. And of course, it does two things. It enables us to live in the world, to work out our karma, to be happy human beings living on this planet, to have joy in our heart, to have love and compassion and forgiveness. And at the same time, to be able to detach ourselves from all of this and be connected to higher energy in the universe and allowing ourselves to slowly evolve into a oneness with God and freeing ourselves from the endless cycle of karma, samsara, whatever you want to call it, I mean, there's that wonderful song by, I think her name was Joni Mitchell, being captured on the carousel of time. I mean, I used to love that song because it was really true. I used to look around in the world and everybody was captured on the carousel of time. And very few people had the strength and the ability to really build an inner life that gave them the strength. They step off the carousel. So that's how I learned how to deal with it. I mean it, it took years of working on myself. And the only way I became capable of dealing with other people's nonsense was getting over my own. It's the way I learned how to do it. I had to get over my own. my prejudgment, my thoughts, my opinions, what I thought was right and wrong, and just got over my own. And then also to be able to say no to somebody. I don't need this person in my life anymore. This person that creates so much tension and madness. I can say no to them. No, grow up, change. And this year I've said no to a bunch of people. And somebody 2 days ago, yesterday, emailed me, wanted to, I found out, I've had enough. I've had enough. It has to be pretty severe for me to say, because generally everyone's welcome. They could have left. I had somebody yesterday emailed me that he was in a class of mine at the University of Texas in Arlington back in 1973. Now, this is true. I got an email like this yesterday. And he said he never forgot being taught how to get grounded in himself. And he just wanted to thank me for having teach him that, because it truly helped him get through his life. It was 50 years ago. I've never seen this person. I don't even know who it is, And I got an email like this yesterday that you used to teach. I did. I used to teach Kundalini yoga class at the University of Texas in Arlington. And this guy must have been in the class. And he said, I never forgot you teaching me how to get grounded. 50 years. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
Well, ask a question. Somebody. I have a question. Why are there no questions? Yeah.
I have a question, Stuart. It's Jason.
That's just
Could you speak about having a creative outlet in life?
how to what?
Having a creative outlet.
To open creative outlets.
Yeah.
Jason, the best way is you open yourself. You open up inside, more creative outlets will come to you than you ever dreamt of. I mean this. There's never, if a door closes, there's always 3 doors that open. But you have to open inside to that kind of depth that you organically create these creative outlets. They just come to you. They come to me every day, for God's sake. Stuff comes. I about 8 months ago, I said, I'm finished writing. And all of a sudden I've got 30, I'm working on the 33rd, thing in my series of Tantra, and these things are getting deeper and more interesting. Creative outlet opened. All of a sudden, here's an outlet. I never dreamed of doing this. All kinds of stuff opens up, but you got to open in yourself. And then these things just happen. You don't use your ego to make them happen, because that only just creates tension. Your heart's open, the chakra system is working, everything is developing inside you. And you will have creative outlets like you never dreamed. And I truly mean this, And I'm not talking because I read it in a book somewhere. I'm talking because it's been truly what my life has been all about. And it's not only for Jason, it's for all of us, all of us. We need freshness, we need newness in our life. We need something new manifesting in our life. The old gets very stale. I mean, just try to eat an old baguette, My God, it's like eating an iron weapon. The old gets very stale. And we need that newness to manifest. And it only will manifest if we open inside. We open those channels in ourselves that are connected to spirit, and these things begin to manifest. It certainly makes life a lot more interesting than living every day with the old and the stale. You don't have to go anywhere. I don't go. I mean, look, I'm not traveling around the world anymore. It's just every day things happen that make life very interesting. It's the greatest voyage anyone can take, the voyage through themselves. That's the voyage of Odysseus. That's the voyage of, every great seeker in the history of the world. There's the voyage through themselves. I mean, Ramana Maharshi spent 16 years sitting in a cave and took that voyage through himself. He only came out because he had these disciples and students that, Babaji, you have to come, you have to come, you have to teach, you have to do. So what did he wind up teaching? Everybody, who am I? That was the highest level of his teachings, to ask yourself the question, who am I? And just ask yourself the question. And if you're honest about the answer, all the masks are going to peel away. I'm white, I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm a man, it all just peels away. It's like an onion, the layers that peel away. And what are you left with? I'm nothing. And when you're left with I'm nothing, you are open to receive all of the Spirit of God. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, there'll be no meditation tomorrow evening. I have to go and have that eye doctor every 2 months, that appointment, and it's impossible for me to teach a class after I have that examination and what's done, treatment. But there will be one this coming Wednesday, and looking forward to seeing everybody. God bless you. And I say it every night, but thank you for being in my life. God bless you. If you know people that are interested in doing this work, I'm open. I always say you got to have 50 students come to get one great student, but you got to have the 50 people come. So if you know people that are interested, I'm very open to having new students come and study and doing that. Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. There'll be a class on Wednesday. I will see you then.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you.
Good night. You're welcome.